This is Lynne Jackson from Dallas, Texas, saying hello to my friends in Singapore. I hope that the videos that you are about to see will be helpful to you in regard to starting your beginning students with their tone production and their articulation. Use the coffee straw to begin. Blowing through the straw sets up the embouchure to be successful in that it encourages the natural placement of the corners of the mouth, the head, the angle of the instrument, and the placement of the tongue. In order to blow through the straw, the air must be unobstructed. By blowing through the straw, a sense of naturalness is created. The corners of the mouth are most always in their natural place, or they may also be pushed in a little bit toward the center. They are never extended outward toward the ears or pulled into a smile position. The head is balanced comfortably above the torso to enable the air to flow out of the body without obstruction. The relationship of the head to the angle of the mouthpiece is extremely important, and it is determined by a combination of two things. Number one, the direction that the air leaves the body. For me, the direction is this, much like the straw. The second thing, in regard to the angle of the mouthpiece, pertains to what instrument you are playing. A French horn will have a much more of an angle off of the face than a trumpet would or a trombone. The tongue should be placed forward and down. In the beginning stages, I have the students place the tip of their tongue comfortably behind their bottom teeth and then blow freely over the tongue. The tongue should remain soft and unengaged. The air should flow without obstruction over the tongue. And now I want to talk a little bit about trumpet tone production. First thing I have my students do is to make a natural face, much like the face that they use when they blow through the straw, like this. Now, for this natural face, it's basically one which has the corners in their natural place. The lips are touching all the way across. The teeth are slightly apart and fairly even. That's important. Once they can do a natural face, and then, by the way, they're using the mirror when they do this, and they're looking in the mirror to make sure they know what it should look like, then I teach them to say, banana. Say banana. Banana. Now, hold your lips at the place where right before the B is going to come out in the word banana. Notice that the center of your lips are slightly engaged, but very softly engaged at the same time. Banana. Then the next step would be to let the straw air blow through the B of banana. Make sure that the air opens up the lips. We don't use any muscles here. Like this. We practice this many, many times, and we're always using a mirror. Now, while I'm teaching that, I'm also teaching the placement of the mouthpiece. It's important to me that my students know what the mouthpiece should feel like on their lips and the angle at which it goes off of the lips. It's going to come off the lips at the angle that is in the same direction as the air coming out of their body. That's very important. It is important that when we blow through the mouthpiece, that we're blowing directly into the hole that sends the air through the shank of the mouthpiece. For most people, that means that the mouthpiece is centrally placed upon their lips, like this. This is also done in front of the mirror, and we do this many, many times while we're working on the B of banana with the straw air behind it. Now, once students may become quite good at doing both of those things, I teach them to place the mouthpiece on the B face, the banana face. Then, gently let the straw air open up the lips, and it will sound like this. And I'm listening for G air. If the lips open up too much, it's going to be a lower sound. I'm listening for the G air. That's where the aperture is fairly small, but certainly soft inside. Now I have my students place the mouthpiece into the instrument, hold it just the same way, bring it to the lips, and now we're going to blow the air through the trumpet. Same way. Be a banana. Straw air opens up the lips in the center. Once again, I'm still listening for the G air. Now, once we've learned how to do that, the final step is to let our lips come towards each other very slowly and softly until a vibration occurs. Like this. I call that air to natural vibration. Air to natural vibration. Let me show you again. My students practice this every day the first year of their playing. Now once they can do the air to natural vibration, then we start with instant sound, instant vibration, like this. And this is without an articulation, I might add. All right, the other thing I wanted to mention about this is all the while I am really paying attention to where the tongue is. It needs to be forward and down, and the air needs to be flowing over the tongue. Let me show you one more time. Air to natural vibration. Air is flowing over the tongue is forward and down. Instant sound, the tongue's in the same place. Now, once a student can do instant sound, I start teaching what I call the air exercises. This is where we just learn to sustain notes. We start with 4 counts, we go to 8 counts, 12 counts, 16 counts. Seems like a very, very easy exercise, but it's a very, very important one. I do this on a beautiful sounding note. If they can do G's, I like to do it on G, but E is also a very good note to do this on. I'll do it on G. So this is G for 4. And 12. Emphasis is placed upon the air coming out of the body in a smooth and consistent fashion, unobstructed and full. The lips are vibrating freely and naturally inside the mouthpiece. And we are starting with instant sound. These are very important concepts that we practice for a long time once we start the trumpet tone production.
All right, let's hear air to vibration on a G. Good, once again. Good. Now let's just start instant sound. Good. Once again. vibration. Good. Now start with just instant sound. Good. One more time.
All right, next I'm going to talk about teaching students to tongue, to articulate. I first have them say the syllable to, and have them notice where the tip of the tongue is touching. It should be touching behind their top teeth somewhere. To. Now, I tell them to say it like a ventriloquist, so that nothing on the outside of their mouth moves when they say it, and only the tip of the tongue is moving, like this. To. Of course, we're using a mirror to make sure that we're holding still. The next step, I have them take their vocal cords away. So they're doing this. Again, a little closer here. We call that the T spot. And I make sure that all the students identify where their T spot is. And we practice that for several days. And it's really important, again, that the tongue stays forward, that only the tip of the tongue is moving, it's moving up and down, and that they are touching the spot consistently on the backside of their top teeth. So once that motion is established, I have the students play a 6-count note. And of course, we're starting this without the articulation. We're starting with an instant sound. Easy enough. The air is flowing over their tongue. The air does not stop. Then I tell the students to start the note, hold it for about 2 counts, and then touch their tongue to the T spot. And their air must not know that their tongue is moving. So the air will do the 6-count air. Their tongue will come up and touch the T spot, much like this. The air does not know that the tongue is moving. The air plays one long 6-count note. Once again. I repeat this exercise for many, many, many days, and actually for many weeks we do this exercise. And eventually we start to learn to touch our tongue to the very first note. So in order to do this, I have them take a breath. I have them touch the tip of their tongue to the T spot and let the breath go and the tongue move away from the T spot at the same time, like this. I take my breath, I set my embouchure, put my tongue on the T spot. So we just practice starting the note by touching while we touch the tongue. Remember, the tongue does not start the note. It's the instant sound and the instant vibration of our lips that does start the note. Our tongue provides a clear decoration, if you will, clear articulation. The tongue must continue to stay forward, must continue to stay down, the tip of the tongue moves up, and our tongue stays relaxed. All brass instruments are played the same, from the lowest note of the tuba to the highest note of the piccolo trumpet. There are only some slight variations from one brass instrument to another. So I'd just like to talk briefly and show you a little bit about each one of those instruments, starting with the French horn. Now, the two things that are pretty different about the French horn from the trumpet are, number one, the mouthpiece is placed generally so that 2/3 of the mouthpiece is on the top lip and 1/3 on the bottom lip, like this. The second thing is, notice that the angle of the lead pipe is pointed down towards the floor. I believe it's very important that you lean the bottom of the mouthpiece on your bottom lip and just touch very, very lightly to the top lip on the French horn. I do teach my students to play off the leg from the beginning. Now we'll do air to vibration on horn. I also use the G. And then instant vibration. So very, very similar to the trumpet. In regards to teaching articulation, teach it the same way with the 2-syllable that I did on the trumpet. So you can refer to that part of the video for the French horn.
Just let the air flow for a little bit longer before we start. Okay, now start with instant sound. One more time. Okay, let's do that again. Take a breath. Good, now this time, start with instant sound. Good, again.
I'm joined by my friend Chris. We're going to talk a little bit about the low brass. We're going to use the euphonium and the tuba to tell you a little bit how these are slightly different from the other brass instruments that we've already spoken about. The first thing that I want Chris to show you is the straw concept on with a low brass player. All right, if you notice, it's the same concept as we had on trumpet and on French horn. And using a visualizer, this is a really, really neat tool to use because you can actually see the aperture. I'm going to hand the visualizer to Chris, and he's going to put it through the straw, put it onto his face, and get the feeling of the mouthpiece. Pull the straw away, and there we have it. Notice that his teeth are fairly even, his corners are in a natural place, and notice that the aperture is sizably larger than it is on the trumpet or the French horn. Okay. Now, when we go to air to vibration, it will sound like this. But before he does that, I want you to notice how he's leaning forward just a little bit toward the instrument. This is a very wise thing to do. And notice that the instrument comes directly to him. He's not lowering his torso and compromising his posture to play the euphonium, which is very often done, and you have to watch out for that. All right, here we go. Air to vibration on an F. Beautiful. Once again. Good. Now instant sound. And again. And you can see that this is going to be an excellent embouchure for him to have to be able to build his knowledge of his instrument and his range and just last him for a long time. Let's put this down and get a tuba now. Do the same thing. The tuba also is held with just leaning forward just a little bit. If you'll watch Chris, he actually is a tuba player. And he leans forward just a little bit. Here's the air to vibration on F. I also want him to show you the articulation. For the low brass, I tend to use more of a D syllable than a T syllable. Do, 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 do. So let's have you play the 6 count, hold the note for 2 counts and then touch 4 times with a D syllable. The air does not know that the tongue is moving. Once again. All brass instruments are played the same, from the lowest note of the tuba to the highest note of the piccolo trumpet. Once you understand that, and you're able to apply the concepts that I've shown you today, teaching brass will become very easy.
All right, let's start air to vibration on an F. Good, once more. Great, now let's start with instant sound. Great, once more. Good, once more. Stop. Once again, air to vibration. Alright, let's do instant sound now. Good. Once more, instant sound. Let's do air to vibration. Let's do that again. Air to vibration. Good. Now let's do instant sound. Good. Once more. Good. All right, let's start with air to vibration on an F. Good. Once more. Good. Now let's just start with instant sound. Good. Once more. Great. Let's just do air to vibration on an F.
Think of it this way. You have a flat tire.
Good. Once again, big breath. Good. Good. Now let's do instant sound. Good. Once again.
Make a natural face, much like the face we use when we use the straw. The corners are in their natural place, lips are together, teeth are apart, and slightly even. Say moo, poo. When saying the syllable moo, the face is elongated and the teeth are further apart. Moo. When I say poo, my lips are thrown forward. Moo, poo. Now, add air to the poo. Moo, moo. I can feel the air go over the wet part of my bottom lip. At this point, it's good to go back to the straw and show the similarities between blowing through the straw and blowing across the embouchure. Moo. It's best for the teacher to place the headpiece at first for each student. Have the student practice the placement of the headpiece many, many times before beginning to blow. Let the student feel the contact of the headpiece, being certain that it is not pushing against the bottom lip. And again, be sure that you're using a mirror so the student can not only feel what the headpiece feels like, but can also see what it looks like. Be sure that the headpiece is parallel to the lips, and be sure the aperture is placed in the center. Now, using the syllable moo, set the face and throw the poo syllable with air forward. Moo. Moo. Teeth are apart. Teeth are fairly even. The bottom lip is thrown forward with the poo syllable so that the air goes over the wet part of the bottom lip, and approximately 1/3 of the tone hole should be covered by the bottom lip. Let's look at it again. Moo. The aperture should be no wider than the width of the tone hole. If students are having difficulty directing the air, teach them this finger exercise or the candle exercise. Hold a candle in front of you. Now blow at the flame. Now, without moving the candle or moving your head, blow up and down the candle. Students will find that the top lip directs the air downward and the bottom lip directs the air outward and up. In order to be a successful flautist, a student must be able to create a small aperture that stays relaxed and flexible. Once a student can make a successful moo-poo sound on the headpiece, start the air exercise. Air for 4 counts. Air for 6 counts. And finally, air for 8 counts. Make sure that this is done on a beautiful headpiece sound with instant sound. Once you can do that, put the flute together. And by now we have learned hand position, and we're just going to play the same thing on a B. 4 count air. Six count air. And 8 count air. All the while, emphasis is placed upon the air coming out of the body in a smooth and consistent fashion, unobstructed and full. At this step, instant sound in the beginning is really, really important. Now, you're just going to do your P-O-O when I tell you to. P-O-O with air. Let's do it one more time. That was great. Let's do it one more time. Let me place it for you. Go. Now to teach tonguing. Have the students say two, two. Have them be aware of where their tongue is touching behind their top teeth, and make sure you specify it should touch on the top teeth. Two, two. It should be touching somewhere behind the top teeth. Now, have the students say two, but like a ventriloquist, like this. Two, 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 two. Next step, have them take their vocal cords away and do this, like a ventriloquist. You can use the mirror so that the students understand that nothing should be moving on the outside of the face. I call this the T-spot. So we practice this for many days before we actually start tonguing. Do this until moving the tip of the tongue becomes effortless and natural. Now the next thing I do is I have students blow 6-count air. And then I tell them to start with the poo, hold it for about 2 seconds, and then start to touch your tongue. We'll touch it 4 times while we continue to blow our 6-count air. The air must not know that the tongue is moving. Once again. The air must not know that the tongue is moving. Only the tip of the tongue should move, and it will move up and down. Now, once students can do that, you want to teach them to tongue the very first note. So I have them take a breath, touch their tongue to the T-spot, and blow at the same instant that they release their tongue from the T-spot, like this. Then students can start with an articulation. Practice on the headpiece first, and then transfer to the flute. Once again, B is probably one of the best notes to do this on in the beginning. This process must be monitored carefully, as there needs to be no tension introduced while learning to articulate. The tongue must continue to stay forward and relaxed and down.
Good, and again. Good, and again, and let's watch your hands this time. Here we go. Good, once more.
Balancing the flute correctly is very important. The flute is a front instrument, held horizontally. The flute is a front instrument, held horizontally. Now notice that I have the left hand, my torso is right here. All right, I'm not going to turn my torso. I keep my torso to the front. I bring the flute up so that the left hand is directly in front of my torso. My right hand is further away in front of my shoulder. Turn and tilt my head so that my breathing is natural here in the front, and I feel very well balanced. as opposed to this. There are 4 balance points to the flute. The main balance point is the left hand. The first finger wraps around the flute, and the flute balances at the base of the first finger, right here before this big bass knuckle. The first finger wraps around the flute. The hand goes underneath the flute, much like what we call a waiter position. I have my students do this and lay the flute on the base of that first finger, wrap the first finger around, and get the hand underneath the flute. The back of the hand should be perpendicular to the flute. The second balance point is the right thumb. The right thumb is opposite the first finger, and you balance the flute on the side of the right thumb near the base of the nail. Next, the pinky, the E flat key. Use the side of the pinky to depress the E flat key. The E flat key is used on over 95% of the notes on the flute. And the last balance point is the bottom lip. And if all of these other balance points are working properly, this is the lightest balance point. We need to be sure that the flute is not pushing into the bottom lip. That these balance points are being successful enough so that we have very light contact here. The greatest source of tension in flute playing is attributed to poor hand position and flute balance. Therefore, this becomes extremely important, especially with beginners. I'm joined by my friend Andrew, and we're going to look at the clarinet embouchure for beginners today. All right, Andrew, I want you to take a good deep breath and then blow out this syllable. Whee. Watch. Good. He's using very fast air once again. Notice that the back of your tongue is high, while the tip of the tongue is low behind your bottom teeth. Once again. Good. Now we're going to take that, we're going to blow that whee, and then we're going to say you, like this. Your turn. Good. One more time. Notice that the bottom lip is standing tall in front of the bottom teeth. The chin looks flat. Next, show me your teeth. Now, take your right index finger, and we're going to put the fingernail under our top teeth about a ½ inch down from the tip of the nail. We're going to point it down, point your finger down towards your knees. Okay, this way. Okay, put it up against your teeth. Good. Now, take your top lip. Make sure you're touching your teeth. Take your top lip and pull it down to your. Good. And now you there. There we go. Now that's what the embouchure in the clarinet is going to feel like in your mouth. You see that the top lip is pulled down and that the chin is flat, and this is very, very important. Good. See how that feels? All right, now let's relax for a second, and now form the embouchure saying, we're going to go to the mouthpiece now. You're going to say that. Now hold right there. Now open your mouth, and we're going to place the mouthpiece in on the lip. Keep the lip tall against the teeth. Now drop your teeth down, pull your top lip down. Good, and close around. All right, now I'm just going to check and make sure that this is firm. Now you're going to pretend this is a giant straw. You're going to breathe in through the barrel and blow out and not move a muscle in your face, and hold everything just the way it is right now. Breathe in and blow out. Very good. Again. Now little faster air, so we start with instant vibration. Good. Now the air exercise. Let's do air for 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 2, 3, 4. Stop. 2, now 8. Ready, and go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and stop. Good, and we'll do this until we can do 16 counts. Check the pitch with the tuner. The mouthpiece barrel combination should be an F sharp. If students are playing lower than F sharp, have them blow faster air and encourage them to keep their tongue raised in the back to the whee position. Now, after we do this for a while, we are going to also encourage our students to start taking the breath in through the corners of the mouth, while keeping the top teeth in place and the chin flat. Open the corners of the mouth and take a breath of air in through the mouth. Now the top lip may move some, but the top teeth stay on the mouthpiece and the chin stays flat. Let's try that, Andrew. Practice this many, many times. All right. So he's set. Now he opens the corners but keeps the top teeth on and the bottom. There we go. Good. You see that the top lip may move some. And he pulls it right down, back into place. Learning to breathe through the mouth is really important, and it needs to happen once the 4 count and the 8 count air is established. Good. Now let's go to the full clarinet. And I like to, now I want you to just hold the barrel with your left hand. And this is really, really good while you have it. Put it on your knee. Good. Now, by now the students know where their first finger goes and their second and their third finger goes. So let's put down 1, 2, 3 on your right hand, on your right hand, 2, 3, and then your thumb just falls naturally into place on the side of the thumb. Good. All right, now pretend that you don't have the whole clarinet. We're just going to pretend again that we just have our mouthpiece and our barrel. We're going to point, the angle points between our knees. All right, we say whee-oo. Place the mouthpiece on your bottom lip. Bring your teeth down. Keep the bottom lip flat. Okay, bring the corners to the center. Now, once again, we're going to breathe through the clarinet and blow out without moving a muscle. Good, one more time. Breathe through the clarinet. Good, now with the breath through the mouth.
Instant sound again.
All right, now clarinet tonguing. I'm going to hand you a mirror, Andrew, and what I want you to do is I want you to point your tongue and place it on the tip of the reed. There we go, right there. Now, that's where your tongue is going to touch. All right, now another thing that we can do is we can have the students just drop that for a moment, sensitize the tip of their tongue with their fingernail. Here, I'll hold your mirror for you. Okay, so that they can feel a little bit more closely. Now place the top of the tip of the tongue on the tip of the reed. Good. Now that's where our tongue is going to touch. Now go ahead and, I think we'll just use the barrel and the mouthpiece right now. Now form your embouchure and place your mouthpiece. All right, now, okay, now just go ahead and set it. Now put your tongue on the tip of the reed. Remember, it's raised in the back and down in the front, and the tongue is coming up to the tip of the reed. Now, you're going to hold your tongue on the tip of the reed and blow. Now, let's just see what happens. No vibration is happening because the tongue is still on the reed and it's prohibiting the reed from vibrating. Okay, now let's do it again. Now I want you to blow pretty fast with your tongue on the reed, and then suddenly I just want you to let your tongue drop down, and we should have a clear articulation. That's excellent. Let's do that again. Very good. Now, we do this many, many times. We've just practiced this one articulation. Then eventually, when the students are ready, you go ahead and have them do the same thing, but keep blowing and keep returning the tongue to the same spot on the reed while the airstream continues on. Good. Keep the air going. Let's try it again. Now let's do this on the whole clarinet. Excellent articulation requires much repeated practice. So make sure your students have repetition, repetition, repetition. All right, so let's go back to our G with our hand on the barrel. All right, let's just do the one articulation. Blow on against the reed with the tongue placed on the reed, and then drop the tongue. Repeated tonguing. One more time. And notice that the air does not know that his tongue is moving, and on the outside of his face there's no indication that he's even moving the tip of his tongue. Only the tip of his tongue is moving. One more time.
All right, now I would like you to use 6-count air, hold it for 2, and then tongue 4 quarter notes. Good, once more.
A little bit louder. I want to say a few words now about basic woodwind hand position. So Andrew's going to demonstrate for us. The fingers are curved. The wrists are straight. Look how natural his hands look. When we move our fingers, we move them from the big knuckles. That's these knuckles right here. In order to keep the fingers from collapsing, keep the weight of the finger toward the tip of the finger. All right, show us a collapsed finger so everybody knows what I mean. When a finger does this. You want to avoid that. Practice putting down all of your fingers to form an excellent hand position. Now with clarinet, we want to make sure we can feel the A key and the A flat key under our first finger, and that we have our pinkies assigned to their appropriate keys. Now lift up, let's say we're going to play a C, Andrew, just a low C. Now lift your fingers up to the desired fingering, being sure that when the fingers are raised, they stay in the shape of a larger clarinet. Now, this would pertain to all the woodwind instruments. As hands grow on clarinet, fingers need to be pointed down more. The hand position allows better access to the throat and the side keys. And notice that his palms are also facing down towards the floor. Use a mirror to work on hand position. When a student has access to the visual, progress is accelerated. Use the straw to begin. Blowing through the straw sets the embouchure up to be successful in that it encourages the natural placement of the corners of the mouth, the head, the instrument angle, and the placement of the tongue. Good, and it's going to come in just about like that for the saxophone. Now, take the straw out for a moment and say, oh. Oh. Now leave your corners there and put the straw back in your mouth and blow through the straw. There we go. The corners of the mouth will be drawn into the center to form an O position. Correct placement of the corners cause the face to seem long and the lips to appear forward. Okay. Good. The head is balanced comfortably above the torso to enable the air to flow out of the body unobstructed. With the head balanced comfortably above the torso, the saxophone mouthpiece, we'll go ahead and use the straw again, will fit to the embouchure at a slightly downward angle. You can go ahead and hold the straw. Right about like this. So you can show them the angle with the straw. More O now. O. There you go. The tongue should be forward and down. In the beginning stages, have the students rest the tip of the tongue comfortably behind the bottom teeth, and then blow freely over the tongue. Let's do that without the straw. Rest your tongue against your bottom teeth, and just blow over your tongue. Good, again. The air should flow without obstruction over the tongue. I'm joined by my friend Hallie, and she's been playing saxophone for a short while, and based upon what she's learned about the saxophone, she's going to show us the saxophone embouchure. We started by having her say, O. O. Good, and you see how her mouth is round and her corners are forward. Now she's going to place the mouthpiece and lay it on her bottom lip, and a little bit more of the lip is going to go into her mouth than, let's say, on the clarinet. Her teeth come down and set on top of the mouthpiece, and then she snugs around the mouthpiece in an O fashion, and then she blows her air. Beautiful. Let's hold it for 4. Ready and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and stop. Good. Now for 8. Try to keep it real smooth. Ready and 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Excellent. How about 12? Ready and 2. All right, we'll try 12. Ready and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wow. It's very important to me, thank you, you can just relax for a minute. It's very important to me that students learn to sustain a really good vibration on the mouthpiece and on the reed. And Hallie's certainly able to do this. Now when we teach her tonguing, we're going to have her just hold the mouthpiece and stick your tongue out and touch the tongue. We're going to get maybe a side shot on this. And stick your tongue out and just point your tongue and put it near the tip of the reed. That's where your tongue is going to touch. Right there. You see where that's going to be? All right, so now let's play our 6th count note. We're just 6th count note. Good. Now your air is going to do that. And after you hold it for about 2 counts, I just want you to come up and touch the tongue to that spot while you continue to blow. Okay? Very good. Now you notice that there's no motion on the outside of the face, just the tip of the tongue is moving. Let's do that one more time, Hallie. Good. Touch your tongue a little bit closer to the tip of the reed. So I'm listening, and I'm listening to what I might imagine is happening inside of her mouth when she's touching her tongue. I think she was touching a little too far down on the reed. Now let's go to the saxophone and do the same thing on our note B. Good. I also want to show you, now she's going to play on the entire saxophone, so I want to show you how she's set up here to play. First of all, where the body of the saxophone is very, very important. Notice it's about halfway between her waist and her knee. Now this puts her in with a perfect angle for correct posture. You see that if she were playing too far back, let's look what would happen here. We would change the angle and change her head position. So this is perfect. Her head is in the perfect place. The angle of the instrument is perfect. The instrument is well balanced. Now just go ahead, Hallie, and play your B. Very good. One more time. Notice also that her face is natural. She's not contorting her face or using some extra muscles that she shouldn't be using. It's very, very good. Now let's have you do the tonguing exercise where you blow 6 count air, touch your tongue 4 times after a couple of seconds. Good. There's your 6 count air. Now touch your tongue. Wow, that was very good. Thank you, Hallie.
All right, let me hear you play your B. Good, again, once more, instant sound. Great. Now use 6 count air, where you hold for 2 and then tongue 4 quarter notes. Good, once more. All right, let's hear your long B. Good, now hold for 2 and then tongue 4 quarter notes. Good, once more.